Welcome to an above average build guide for Last Epoch made by Zor. The build we're covering today is Hammer Throw with a focus on damage over time using physical damage and bleeds. As you can see here, we have a Paladin, we have hammers going in a circle, and everything they touch is nothing. One of the main goals of this build is to throw as many hammers as fast as possible so that we can stack as many bleeds as possible on every mob they touch. The hammers can only connect with an enemy one time per hammer, so it doesn't matter if it hits the enemy when it's at the outside of the circle or the inside of the circle. It can only hit once, but it will continue spinning, hitting as many mobs as it can. There are some pros and cons to the build. A couple of the pros are that this build is great for team play. You've got a lot of bonus damage being given out to allies, a little bit of resistance for allies, and if you are with someone that does a lot of damage, you will melt bosses in literal seconds with this build on their side. Alternatively, as a pro, it's also great for solo, and it's relatively fast other than the ramp-up time of throwing these hammers. Clear maps for as long as you can shield rush across them. A couple of the cons are going to be the ramp-up time of throwing the hammers and gathering them up. As you can see, I have to stand still in order to get them going, and that leaves me vulnerable to stuns, which can kill the character if you get stuck in place for too long. The hammers can also clip walls. If you watch this clip closely, you'll see if I get close to any of these walls, it'll actually take my hammers and delete them to where they stop spinning. That doesn't apply to all walls in the game, but there are some terrain and some walls that will stop your hammers from going around. So the main ideology of this build is a bleed build in which we want to throw hammers as fast as possible to stack up as many stacks of bleed as possible. This is my current gear. It's not perfect, but it's pretty good. Can always be improved. Here, see, we're not stacking crit. Attack speed for throwing as much as we can get. Throwing damage never hurts. We're a paladin, so we're naturally going to have higher armor through strength and other outlets. Pretty tanky. We use a shield. I don't generally build super defensive early on, as I'm a softcore player, and I don't really worry about dying too much. So my stats are a little off. I have some gear I swap out if needed, based on monolith. Mobs get too much crit. I obviously have to max this out. So that's the idea. Throw some hammers, run through monolith. You keep doing it. If you're on a boss, throw sigils up, volatile reversal, get your mana back, and boss takes more damage. Another important thing to note about this build is that you will need leech in order to survive. So grabbing a bleeding heart while you're leveling, or as soon as you can, very needed. Baldur's Chalice, bleed, damage over time, leech to health. Very important as well. You will need both of them, or at least one of them, in order to survive. Grabbing the throwing blessing is going to be ideal as well, as soon as you can. I'm not very lucky with it. Got it a few times in a row actually. So sure you were finding a source of leech or survivability is going to be a little whack. So the first skill we're going to go over is going to be Hammer Throw, and you'll get it pretty early as far as leveling goes, which is kind of convenient because sometimes these builds are not as kind when it comes to things like that. But we're a paladin, and we don't really care about these right now. So when you're starting off, you're going to want to go up the tree and down this way and start grabbing some ballista. Hammer throw can be pretty expensive early on. So grab a few of those until you're comfortable, and then you'll work your way over here and grab both of these spiraling and vortex nodes. Once you get some minus throwing on your rings, you will be able to manipulate your points a little better in hammer throw, and you'll make your way down here, get attack speed, get more damage. But I would definitely start coming down for ballista and then working points in or out of it, whatever works for your build. If you can get plus hammers on your gear, even better. It's going to be more damage all around, or attack speed. Because I would say ideally you definitely want to max this attack speed out, because the more hammers you throw, the more bleed stacks you're going to put out. So yeah, up, grab these, manipulate them as you need, as you get rings and whatever else you can to get the mana cost. Because with my current setup, you can see I can pretty much infinitely throw them. I don't have that much mana regen, if any, really. So the second ability you're going to want to get is going to be Shield Rush. Almost all of the abilities surrounding Hammer Throw are support abilities, and in this case, it's just to get around faster. So you're going to want to grab mana efficiency, damage taken while rushing, unstoppable charge, and then after that, it's really up to you. Do more damage if you want, final hit damage, area, hit damage. Area is going to get you more stun when you stop. It might work out, but it's just priority to get the mana efficiency nodes in ASAP, so that it doesn't break your mana pool. At 6 stacks, you can see it takes not too much from me, like 30 mana, but it will not start charging up again until you let go of the button. So your mana gets frozen in place, basically. Ideally, we want to get as much cooldown as possible, so that we're spinning hammers, running across the map, just melting the screen as we go. And then we have to run back to get our loot, because that's how everything works in this game. The third skill you're going to want to grab is going to be Holy Aura. You'll get that as soon as you finish the first chapter of the campaign. Holy Aura is going to give you and allies, if you're playing multiplayer, 30% increased damage and 15% LE resist, and if you use it, it will double those effects for 4 seconds. So it's pretty decent, but you don't have to maintenance it. You automatically have all the buffs in the tree without having to use it. So that's always nice. This is a very hands-off build, I would say, for the most part. You could literally eat food, run around with one hand, just have a good time. But of course, you're going to want to do that every now and then, get you where you're going. But it buffs you in every way. Down here we get physical damage, hammer throw speed. Here, some more attack speed. Love to have it. The faster we throw, the more bleeds we apply. That is the goal. Then here you grab some elemental resistance and endurance. So as you're leveling, you can either come down to get more damage. If you feel you want some elemental resistance, you can start there. It's user choice. Really up to you. The fourth skill we're going to be grabbing is going to be Sigils of Hope, and that is going to be another buff for you. You will have to maintain it at times, like boss fights, because the only way to get them is either you press that, a little bit mana intensive, especially if you're shield rushing or anything like that. You can throw hammers. If I threw 3 more, I'm out of mana. And like I said earlier, if you're not maintaining your mana up down, you're going to be hurting for a little bit, unless you have all tower reversal, which will get you your mana back for a little bit of things. So yeah, but while you're grinding and doing monoliths, you can get them back automatically. There's a chance to summon on kill 6%. It feels higher than that. I would say running through the monoliths and echoes, I have the sigils up almost the entire time. So grab damage, grab that, and then I would come over here and grab the defensive purposes, which here you'll end up with 225 endurance threshold with all 3 up. Down here will heal you if you get hit. And this gives you a chance to resummon them if you do lose one through Faith. And Faith triggers, you have haste. So all around, this helps you stay alive, move faster. It's up to you if you want to grab a couple duration. I would, based on how fast you're killing things or how fast you're getting your sigils up. So I would definitely grab a couple of these nodes if you can. The last talent you're going to want to grab is going to be Volatile Reversal, which is in the Void Knight tree. This skill is going to make it so that you can get some mana back after you pop sigils for bosses. You're generally not going to use this during Echoes and Monoliths unless there's a stronger monster and you want to delete it really quick. The main purpose of this ability is to have enemy damage taken, and it also gives mana back. And if you don't grab this node early, it will also give you health if you're doing that. But we'll be grabbing this at some point because we want the recovery speed, so we can use it more often during boss fights. Definition of it turns you to the position you were at 2 seconds ago, reverting changes to your current health and mana since then. It's pretty late game / when you're getting to Monoliths before you really need it. So it's not a priority to take it. If there's something else you would rather take, feel free for a while. But once it comes down to bossing, you're going to want to grab this. Passives are the only thing that's going to stop you from grabbing it. So once you're comfortably into Paladin tree or at the point where you're ready to take it, just come over to the Void Knight tree and grab 10 Abyssal Endurance and grab this. So yeah, if I were building it, I would come down here and grab Harbinger of Dust. Enemies take more damage after you use it for 4 seconds, and then come up here and grab cooldown second, followed by these nodes up here. And this one is enemy damage taken over time, so that's a pretty big deal because we're dot build. So by the time you have that, you'll probably have near 20 points, and it'll be easy to grab all these nodes. Here's what a 200 monolith looks like. I don't really have that many modifiers yet, or any more. They seem to have disappeared. Run-throughs I've done, so nothing too scary here, but you guys can see how efficient Paladin can be running through. How effortless it can be. Running through, out on the map, having a good time. Nothing's generally too threatening, besides meteor chickens, per usual. We don't have any of those here. A lot of walls, though. There's a lot of momentum. The only time it's unfortunate with this build is when you drop a lot of bleeds on things and you hear things drop behind you. You have to backtrack. Overall, not too much to complain about though, because we like speed, violence, and momentum here. Most of the builds I make will be this fast, this efficient. This is Brain Dead. You know, I'm okay with that though, because we don't play minion builds here often. Leave that to our peers. You can see running around 2-3 sigils. That 6% is a pretty decent proc rate. Here's a little boss fight. Will I die? Doubtful. But anything's possible. And modifiers don't look too crazy. Just gonna run in here. Going to drop 3 sigils, volatile reversal, and just throw hammers down. The boss will start melting really quick. Not a bad boss killing build. Not too bad at all. Again, sigils are expensive, so make sure you're being careful when you use them. Stationary, I have mana, do a little bit of sigils. It will save your life, so it never hurts to pop them. Still able to eat a little bit of damage even with low HP, but again, there's not a lot of modifiers here. Boss is trolling, a little bit bug, clearly not the path he ran. But that's alright. Pretty quick, easy. Here is the build planner as promised, per usual. It's got your ideal idols, blessings that you may or may not want to choose, including throwing leech to health. Kinda need that. Getting heart for leech, chalice for leech. This belt's just good if you can get a good LP roll on it. If you don't have LP, this belt's just here for the physical skills. Hammer throw bonus. A lot easier to get than hammer throw on the chalice, since it's a higher legendary potential. But yeah, you'll find that you only need 1 T7 mana cost ring. You really don't need 2. You can get a throwing attack speed on the other one, but whatever you find, really. There's more exotics you could place here if you could find them. This is just your baseline ideal stats, what I would go for. You will also find your passives here. Per usual, is the only place you're going to find them. So, you have that. You have things like this, where you have 1 point in here just for the block chance. 1 point gives us 2%, very worth it. Same thing as here. %, love to see it. And again, here, 3% for 1 point. Really a good time. Would recommend those 3. And yeah, a lot of your elemental resistances you'll get from other places in your skill trees and passives. So if you don't find them on gear or cap them, that's probably why. I know your sigils will give you 25%. So your aura. The aura's got a 25% base, and if you use it, it will double that to 50. So, however you want to go around doing that. But there's the build. Pretty fun one. Very fast. Epoch Planner's got it 3,600 health. It's twice how much I'm using. Would be nice. So yeah, enjoy. Gonna throw a little echo in the world in. Anything's possible. 200 corruption again. Same gear. We'll see how he treats us today. Ooh, almost one shot, but doesn't. Paladin busted. Feels good. It's melting the boss. You're gonna have to stand right next to the boss if you don't want. All the hammers are gonna hit him once anyway. Well, it's the first time they go around to the second.